.NET 10 Preview 5 just landed, and you know what that means, a new preview version of .NET MAUI as well. In this video, I will show you what to expect for .NET 10 in .NET MAUI. At the time of recording, Preview 5 of .NET 10 has just been released, but I haven't made any videos on the previous previews, so in this video I will update you about everything from 1 to 4, all the previews of .NET 10, so that you know what to expect for .NET MAUI when .NET 10 is actually going to be released this November 2025. So let's hop over to my screen right here. I've got the .NET Core repository open. That's where all the release notes are being hosted right now. So you can go to like Core, Release Notes 10, Preview, Preview 1. And whenever you go into here in this folder, you can see ASP.NET, C#, the language, all the language features, Entity Framework, F#, even Visual Basic, WinForms, WPF, everything is in here, but also .NET MAUI. So you can see all these things. Now, Preview 1 was focused on quality improvements. We've been focusing on quality improvements for the past period, and I think we've been doing a great job. That's also what you've been telling us. But now, additionally, what you've been telling us is like, hey, quality is in a good space. There's still some work to do, but it's in a good space. We also want to have this little extra stuff. I think that's a really good sign. Like, hey, we're doing good quality-wise, and you're asking us for extra stuff on top of that, right? So that's what we've been doing a little bit, where capacity will allow us for .NET 10. But the Preview 1 release, like, you know, that's just a release to kind of like bring it all together, integrate with the .NET 10 SDK, with all the other stuff, .NET for Android, .NET for iOS. It's not, you know, super exciting for you maybe on the outside, but of course it's like the first step to get everything together and start building it. So mostly quality improvements. The one thing that is in here is the CollectionView enhancements for iOS and Mac Catalyst. CollectionView has been a focus area for us for a long time. Now in .NET 9, you can already opt into these new handlers for CollectionView and CarouselView. So please go check that out if that's something that you use in your app. That hopefully make things better for you. And most importantly, provide feedback on this thing, because for .NET 10, .NET 10 Preview 1, we're swapping that around, right? So you don't have to opt in for the new handlers, but you have to opt out if you don't want to use them. So the new handlers are going to be the default. Definitely go opt into that right now with .NET 9, see what it does, provide us with feedback, because that is going to be where we are going to focus on to actually make that one work. So, okay. Nothing super exciting for Preview 1, right? Let's hop over to Preview 2. Preview 2, already a little bit more. We got a couple of things here under .NET MAUI. So let's scroll down here a little bit. The shadow type converter. So you can now do these shadows with this notation, right? With this syntax. Color and then X offset and Y offset right here. It's a little shorter notation. It's not necessarily more readable, right? You need to know kind of like which value, which space is which value and whatever. But it makes your XAML a little bit shorter, but more on that later, because we're going to throw away a lot of XAML. And I have a little demo of that as well, so stick around for the rest of the video. And then we have some other variations, and depending on where the values are or how many values there are, we choose a certain overload of this thing. So that's there. Speech options rate. Text-to-speech has been forever in .NET MAUI, but now it also allows you to set the rate. So how fast is it being uttered, right? How fast is the speech going? You can now influence that with a setting which wasn't there before. I think this was a community contribution, just like the shadow type converter, by the way. So thank you so much for that. If something is bothering you in .NET MAUI, please consider contributing that to us, because it's much easier to look at PRs, review those, and help you get those in than to do all of the rest of the work ourselves as well. So another one, this was also, actually we should point this out better. This is also a contribution from the community, styling modal as popover. Since a good while on iOS and Mac Catalyst, you can have like the page sheet. So you will have like your screen, and then whenever you do a modal, it will come up, and this one will go a little bit to the background, right? It looks super amazing. I'm a little bit of an iOS fan. If you are on iOS, you know what I'm talking about. And now you can add this without any custom handlers or whatever. Before this, you would have to do a custom handler to do all of that. But right now, you can just put that in here. Let's pull up this little page right here that shows a little demo on Mac Catalyst. So if we start running this, we have a little demo now. And you can see the little pop-up, you can do it for an offset, and you can get that form sheet on there, and you can combine all of these variations as well. So that's super cool, and use all of that right now. We don't have something for iOS, but on iOS, if you ask me, it looks even better. So you can just now use that inside of your .NET MAUI app, super easy with this API. Another one of those paper cut things, switch off color, right? You will have to add a custom handler for that. Custom handler is super easy to write, but if you don't have to, that's even better. So now switch off color, and you can set the color for whenever your switch is off, right? There it is, simple to use, nothing fancy. Same thing for the search bar, the search icon color, right? You had a little magnifying glass color for, I think, all the platforms, or at least iOS and Android. And now you can style that individually off the rest of the text box, so you can very easily set that. Hybrid Web View has a new invoke JavaScript async method, so you can invoke JavaScript on your Hybrid Web View. Hybrid Web View is the control to host your Vue and your React applications inside of a .NET MAUI shell. Super exciting stuff. Now we have this overload, this new method right here that we got for you to use. We also are working on some deprecations. There's going to be a shocking one. That's my clickbait title right there. Number 3 will shock you, but you know, we're doing some deprecations for the better. One of them, font image extension, you're probably not even going to notice that one. The MessagingCenter is definitely one that you might notice. MessagingCenter has been around since Xamarin days, is kind of like your messaging pattern thing, which is, you know, super not optimized. It was necessary for how Xamarin worked. We took that legacy kind of with us to .NET MAUI, removed it at some point, I think for .NET 7 or .NET 8. Then a lot of people were super angry because they were not ready to kind of like move off of the MessagingCenter, so we put it back. I'm not going to do it this time. I removed it again, and I'm not putting it back. So there you have it. MessagingCenter is internal for now. We still use it in a couple of internal places too. We're working on that to kind of like get rid of those for .NET 10 GA as well, general availability. And our recommendation is to replace it with the weak reference manager. Now, I have a plugin built, plugin.maui.messagingcenter, to be a drop-in replacement for this thing. It will use the public APIs of the MessagingCenter that are in .NET MAUI today, so you don't need to change anything. Drop that in, and under the hood, it uses the weak reference manager from the community toolkit, which is super performant. That is what you want to use. So it should be very easy. If you're not ready still for the migration there, drop in that plugin and use that. If that's something that you want to learn a little bit more in detail, let me know down in the comments below, and I will make a video on that. Cool, cool, cool. Preview 2. Now, preview 3, there will be some shocking things. Here we go. API deprecations of ListView, Cell, and TableView. Those things have been around forever, right? And we have the ListView and the CollectionView together. So that was already a kind of like weird situation. This has been a long time coming. ListView is going away. You should focus on CollectionView, and then specifically for iOS and iOS and Mac Catalyst, the new handlers, right? So this allows us to focus a little bit more on CollectionView, because we know there's still work to do there. And now we can just say, hey, ListView is not a priority for us anymore. It's not being removed right away, right? That's going to be .NET 11 the earliest, so you still have time. But you should get onto CollectionView, because this is deprecated, and now we can dedicate a little bit more time to CollectionView and not deal with the ListView issues there anymore. So there's that, right? Just get them out of there. Full screen video playback. For Android now, you can host a video inside of a web view, and you can allow that to go full screen. Super easy. A couple of people needed that, so now you can do that. Geolocation is enabled, something that has been in .NET MAUI forever too. The geolocation get the location of a device. Most of those sensor kind of like APIs have a variation of is enabled or is available or something like that. So now we added, and I think this is a community contribution, a little field for like is enabled, that checks like, hey, is this enabled for this app? Is this enabled for this operating system? I'm not sure if it takes into account the permissions that the user has given, yes or no, but this is for your kind of like error scenarios to have a little bit more control inside of your app of like, hey, is geolocation enabled, yes or no? Can I use this? And then you can prompt your user of like, hey, you need to enable that, or you cannot use this functionality in my app. Seemingly a small thing, but you know, makes it so much nicer to work with. Web Authenticator cancellation token. Now, I always have to laugh with the cancellation token a little bit, because there's a little running gag on my channel that I still owe you people, a video about cancellation tokens. I've said it a couple of times. Let me know if you want a video on cancellation tokens, and I still haven't done it. So let me know again in the comments if you still want it. But Web Authenticator now has a cancellation token that you can pass in, and then you can programmatically from your app say, hey, the Web Authenticator needs to be canceled because some timeout has hit or whatever, authentication is no longer needed or something needs to be refreshed. You can now do that programmatically. And then a bunch of performance improvements. So the property mapper, which kind of like hits every control with some metrics right here before and after. So you can see kind of like, is there some benchmark right here? Just looking at these numbers, it's like, I don't know, 50% faster. So that's super cool, right? You'll have to read through all the details here. I'm not going to all read them through you, but we definitely did some work here, and that's something that falls into the quality category that we continuously look at to make the performance even better and better. But it's not the most sexy thing to talk about, right? So definitely important, definitely super cool, but look into that yourself. Then move on to preview 4. Now, here we're actually getting some cool new things, if you ask me. Actually, because these are two things that I worked on. So MediaPicker modernization, this is something that I kind of like not liked for a longer time. There's a whole history here on why MediaPicker isn't the state it is. Let me know down in the video. Gather around, kids. I will make a little campfire video about how that all came to be. But the good news is that I found a little bit of room to make some improvements. And first, that's in 10 preview 4, is to just use the modern APIs on iOS, on Android, that takes into account all the right permissions. So you can now these days have kind of like a partial permission to select a couple of pictures and not all of them, right? So this uses the new modern APIs on each platform so that the MediaPicker at least just works again the way it did on each platform, right? And I have more plans. I will link the issues down below in the video description for being able to do multi-select on images and videos, enable the compression, maybe do a little size while you're picking it, and get the metadata of images. Vote on the issue that is most important to you so that I can work on them in order and see what I can get in before .NET 10 in November, right? I'm working on that, so let me know what's important, because I find it crazy that it's 2025, there is a media picker, any app in any shape or form will use some kind of image or video in 90% of the cases, right? So we need to have a media picker that works for you, that allows you to do that very, very easily. Now, the other thing, nullable pickers, right? Nullable pickers, something you've been asking us for years, since the Xamarin days. Why don't we have it? Now we have it in .NET 10, it's coming. Nullable pickers, date pickers, time pickers. Let's just switch over to a little demo while we're at it. So here I have a file new .NET MAUI app, just like the race car. I think we need to update the graphic for .NET 10 too, but this is just the incrementing button, right? So this uses .NET 10. So just quick aside, if I use the ListView right here, right now, you will see, hey, this will start giving me hints about this is obsolete. Please use the CollectionView, right? So this is really obsoleted. I wasn't kidding. And the MessagingCenter can be found as well. But if I would do a DatePicker right here and give that a little X name, is my picker. So there we go, my picker. And this will have the date of today by default. And then from the code behind in this button, let's just do my picker dot date is null. See, I can just set it to a null value right now, which is cool for your scenarios where you have a form and you want to have the date null by default, right? So you can very easily check if your user filled something in, yes or no, or maybe you have a form that just allows your date to be null, right? The date is still to be determined. You don't care. Now, this is scenarios that you can do. Before this, you had to hack around it or use some other controls. Now it's just built into the .NET MAUI SDK directly. So if I run this really quickly on Android, you will see the little date picker here at the top. You can open that, still works the way that you're used to. You can select something else, do OK. But whenever I click the button, it's going to clear it, right? It's going to be a null value. So there's that. Super, super cool. Lots of people were asking for that. They're ridiculously excited about this for some reason. So now it's here, finally. And then, of course, some other stuff that you want to look into. And then for 5, which has just landed, there is something super crazy cool because we are making some improvements to XAML so that you can do less XAML in .NET MAUI. We've broken up in 2 things, the global namespaces and implicit namespaces. I'm going to show you a little demo in just a little bit. Let's focus on this one so that you get all the changes in here. Intercept web requests. So now the hybrid web view, again, the one that we talked about earlier, earlier for your Vue and your React apps, has a web resource requested event, which you can now handle, and you can say, hey, is the URL going to this thing? Then we're going to return, right? We're just, I don't know, we're going to short circuit it here. We're going to set handled, and we're going to set the response, and that's it, right? So you can make decisions based on the resource, on the URL that's being requested, and you can do all these cool things. Now, let's go to our example thing. You can do global namespaces. So you can pack all your XML and S definitions that you hear me talk about in every video, where I say like, oh, you need to add this XML and S little thingy right here, and then you can use it with the prefix, blah, blah, blah. You know what I want to talk about, right? So you can now get rid of all of those. You can pack them into one file. You can use the actual namespaces, or you can use the URL typed ones from some plugins, right? You can pack them all in one file and never look at it again. And you don't need to list them all in each XAML file over and over and over again. So, much less. I'll show you a little demo, don't worry. And then the other part is the XAML implicit namespaces. So you have a bit of XAML, you're blind to it by now. You don't even see it anymore, but it's there in every XAML file, and you can now get rid of it. So only for this part, you need to add a little thing in your CS project to enable this. So let's have a look at that first. If we go into our in our CS project right here, so double click on the project, and if I scroll down, I'll make sure that this is a sample project that's hosted on my GitHub. I'll make sure that the link is in the video description, so make sure to go there. You'll see this little thing. That's what you need to add for the implicit XML and S declaration. I'll show you what that's all about. So here in our main page, you have all of this, right? This is what I'm talking about. Page models, controls, pull to refresh, toolkit, right? For the community toolkit right here. And then you need to have all these prefixes in here, toolkit, colon, for all these things right here, right? Now what you can do is you can have a file. It can be named other things if that's what you want, but global XML and S makes sense. Next to the global usings right here. This is, by the way, just a file new .NET MAUI app with the sample content. There's a little checkbox now. If you do file new .NET MAUI project, you can have sample content, and it will generate this full application that you can kind of like play with, which has the global usings already. And now we can also, you can need to create this yourself right now. In the .NET 10 templates, I think it will be there, is the global XML and S. And you can do this. This needs to be the same, like this part all the time. So we might want to look into, maybe we can make that easier too. Anyway, we'll do that later. This part needs to be the same. And then afterwards, you can say, hey, my fonts namespace. It's a little bit of an odd one, but this is a namespace in my application. XML and S simple. That's like my main namespace, right? Because that's what my application is called. XML and S simple pages, pages.controls, page models. And here you have these URL typed ones as well, right? So I've got that all here in my global XML and S.cs file. And now what I can do, you can see all the same ones here, right? Models, pages, controls, whatever. Just throw them all out. Just throw them all out. There we go. Boom, they're gone. And now you will see here these errors, right? Because I'm missing all these prefixes. And the cool thing is I can remove those too. Just remove them. Bye. Don't need them anymore. You need to make sure that this is all in balance, of course, right? We need to add the opening and the closing tags. Let me really quickly see if I can remove them for you, all of them, and see if I can actually get this to build. There we go. I think that's what's all of them. Then run the application and it will still run. But now we lost all the little prefixes right there. Makes it a little bit more readable. And we saved like 10 lines here at the top for all the namespaces that we didn't need to list out there, right? So we can make the XAML less verbose. It's not running. I don't know why. Probably because I missed one. But it's all here, right? This works, trust me. And we can take it a step further. That's why you need to enable this little thing right here, because what you can also do, this is always here, right? XML and S. If it's always there, why just not make it implicit? Same with this X thing, the X namespace. It's always there. It's always got to be there. Boom, let's just remove it. You don't need to do anything else. You need to add that little preview thing in your CS project, but you don't need to take this into account for your global XML and S. The thing is, the tooling needs to catch up here a little bit, because you need to keep the X prefixes, because this is so built into the tooling and the whole XAML parsing engine. That's hard to get rid of, maybe one day, but not right now. So you need to have all these things here, but you don't need the actual declaration here on the content page. And the tooling isn't aware of this yet, so that's why you will still see this, but you should be able to compile this and run this, and it should all just still work. So even less XAML, saved another 2 2 lines, which is really, really cool if you ask me. That's everything so far in Preview 5. How do you want to use this? Well, actually, it's pretty simple. Just go to .NET. There you can download every version of .NET. There's also the preview versions of .NET 10. Get the Preview 5 right now, and then just do basically run your application on the .NET 10 preview, and then in your .NET MAUI project, you just update the reference to the Preview 5 version as well, and you should be able to run your .NET MAUI app on .NET 10 and get all of this goodness today. What is the thing that you're looking forward to most? What is the things that we should still add while there's still time? Please let me know down in the comments. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and make sure to maybe check out this next video right here that is especially picked for you, so you know, it would be a waste to not go and watch that, right? And I will see you for the next one.